My aunt cashed my daughter's scholarship refund checks, said she's smart, she'll win more, then spent $9,960 in 30 days on a girls' trip. Now her husband found the bank statements and filed for divorce. I'm pressing charges and putting a lien on their RV. I found out my aunt stole nearly $10,000 from my daughter when her husband showed up at my door yesterday with bank statements and divorce papers in his hand. He didn't even say hello. Just held up a highlighted Chase statement and said, "Did you know about this?" The line item said mobile deposit. Scholarship refund check, and the amount was $4,200. Then another one 3 weeks later for $3,100. Then smaller ones, $890, $1,770. My daughter is 16. She won the regional STEM scholarship last spring and a second one from the state agriculture department in June. Both scholarships sent refund checks to our house because she's a minor and I'm listed as a financial contact. I never saw those checks. My Aunt Linda lives 2 doors down from us. She has a key to our house because she waters our plants when we travel. I didn't think anything of it when she offered to grab our mail while we were at my daughter's robotics competition in May. That was apparently when she took the first check. Her husband Mike looked like he'd been crying. He sat at my kitchen table and spread out 6 months of credit card statements. Girls' trip to Cancun with her book club, $4,300. New bedroom furniture, $2,100. Spa packages, clothes, a fucking Peloton bike. All of it in the span of 30 days. I asked her where the money came from, he said. She told me she wanted playing online slots. I felt sick. Those scholarships were for my daughter's college fund. She worked her ass off, 4.0 GPA, volunteers at the animal shelter every weekend, builds robots in our garage until midnight. The STEM scholarship alone took her 6 months to apply for, 3 rounds of interviews, a 40-page project proposal. I called my aunt immediately. She answered on the first ring, all cheerful. "Hey sweetie, what's up? Where are my daughter's scholarship checks?" Silence. Then, "Oh. Mike told you. You stole from a child." "I didn't steal anything, I borrowed it." "She's smart, she'll win more scholarships. This was a one-time thing, I was going to pay it back. You spent it in a month. I needed a break. Do you know how stressful my life is? I deserve nice things too. Your daughter has her whole life ahead of her, she'll be fine." I hung up and called the police. Filed a report for theft and forgery because she had to have forged my signature to deposit those checks. The officer said it's a felony over $5,000. Then I called a lawyer. Turns out I can put a lien on her property for the amount stolen plus damages. They own an RV that they take camping every summer. Worth about 15 grand. My lawyer is filing the paperwork this week. Mike filed for divorce yesterday morning. He told me he never knew about the checks, never knew where the money came from, thought his wife had a gambling problem. He's moving in with his brother and he's on my side with the criminal charges. My aunt has called me 47 times in 2 days. Her voicemails went from apologetic to angry to desperate. The last one said, "You're going to ruin my life over some money your kid didn't even miss yet." My daughter cried when I told her. Not because of the money but because her aunt, someone she trusted, stole her future. She said I worked so hard for those scholarships. Did she even care? The police investigation is ongoing. The prosecutor called me this morning and said they're charging her with felony theft and forgery. Court date is in January. My lawyer says the lien will go through and we'll likely get a judgment that lets us force the sale of the RV if she doesn't pay restitution. My mom called me yesterday and begged me to drop the charges. She's family. She made a mistake. Don't destroy her life over this. I told her that Linda destroyed her own life when she stole from a child and spent the money on margaritas in Mexico. But now half my family isn't speaking to me. My uncle says I'm being vindictive. My cousin posted on Facebook about forgiveness and family loyalty and I know it's directed at me. Mike is the only one who gets it. He told me yesterday she looked me in the eye for months and lied. She stole from your kid and didn't lose a second of sleep. Let her face what she did. The RV thing is what's making everyone angry. They say it's too far, that she needs that RV, that it's her only escape. I don't care. She can escape to a courtroom and explain to a judge why she thought my daughter's education was less important than her vacation. Now I'm wondering if I overreacted. Am I a butthole? The criminal charges went through faster than anyone expected and my aunt showed up at my house 3 days ago with a cashier's check. She didn't knock. Just walked in through the unlocked front door at 7 in the morning while my daughter was eating breakfast. My kid looked up from her cereal and went completely white. "I have the money," my aunt said. She was holding a check for $9,960 and her hands were shaking. "Take it. Drop the charges." I was still in my bathrobe. "Get out of my house. Please." The prosecutor said if I pay restitution before the hearing they might reduce it to a misdemeanor. I sold the RV. Mike's brother bought it. I have the full amount. My daughter stood up so fast her chair scraped the floor. You spent my scholarship money on a vacation and now you want us to feel sorry for you. I made a mistake, sweetie. I'm trying to fix it. Don't call me that. You're not my aunt anymore. My aunt started crying. Real tears, mascara running down her face. I lost everything. Mike left me. I'm staying in a motel. My book club won't talk to me. Your mom won't return my calls. I just need you to tell the prosecutor I paid you back. I took the check. This doesn't make us even. You don't get to steal from a child and buy your way out of consequences. So you're still pressing charges? Even after I gave you the money? Yes. She lost it. Started screaming that I was vindictive, that I wanted to destroy her, that she apologized and made it right. My daughter called 911 because my aunt wouldn't leave and kept blocking the front door. 2 officers showed up within 10 minutes and escorted her out. One of them recognized her name from the theft report and told her if she came back she'd be arrested for trespassing. The check cleared. I put every cent into my daughter's college fund. My lawyer said paying restitution doesn't erase the felony charges, but it looks better for sentencing. The prosecutor is still moving forward with theft and forgery. Court is in 3 weeks. My aunt's public defender called yesterday asking if I'd be willing to write a victim impact statement supporting leniency. I said no. He tried the whole "she's family, she paid you back, she's lost everything already" speech. I told him she stole from a 16-year-old and spent it on tequila shots and a Peloton bike. He stopped arguing after that. Mike came by last week to apologize again. He brought my daughter a new robotics kit, $300 worth of parts she'd been saving up for. Said he felt responsible even though he had no idea what his wife was doing. The divorce is almost final. He's giving her the house but taking his entire 401k and both cars. She fought him on it, but her lawyer apparently told her she's lucky he's not suing her too. My mom finally called me yesterday. Not to apologize but to tell me my aunt is having a breakdown, not eating, not sleeping, talking about how her life is over. I said good and hung up. My mom texted me 10 minutes later saying I've become cruel. I blocked her number. The worst part is my daughter heard everything. She was in her room doing homework when my mom called and she heard me yelling through the door. She came out after and asked if I really meant it, if I really wanted my aunt to suffer. Yes, I said. She stole your future and didn't care. She needs to understand what that means. My daughter hugged me and started crying. Not sad crying but relieved crying. She said thank you for protecting me, and I realized she'd been scared this whole time that I'd give in, that family pressure would make me back down. Half my family still isn't talking to me. My uncle sent a long email about compassion and mercy and how pressing charges against family is unforgivable. I deleted it. My cousin keeps posting Bible verses on Facebook about forgiveness. I unfollowed her. But my daughter is sleeping better. She's back to building robots in the garage. She submitted 3 new scholarship applications last week. Her guidance counselor called to say she's a strong candidate for a full ride to the state university. None of that would mean anything if I taught her that people can steal from her and face no real consequences. The prosecutor emailed this morning with the final hearing date. January 14th. He said based on the evidence and the amount stolen, my aunt is looking at 2 to 5 years with possibility of probation if she takes a plea deal. Her lawyer is pushing for probation and community service. The prosecutor asked what I want. I want her to stand in front of a judge and explain why she thought my daughter's education was worth less than a vacation. I want it on her permanent record. I want her to feel what my kid felt when I told her someone she trusted stole her future. My daughter asked me last night if I think her aunt will actually go to prison. I said probably not, probably probation and restitution and a felony record. She nodded and said that's fair. I deposited the $9,960 into her college fund yesterday. The account balance is back where it should have been 3 months ago. It doesn't erase what happened, but at least the money is where it belongs. My aunt called from a restricted number 2 nights ago and left a voicemail begging me to reconsider. Said she's applying for jobs but no one will hire her because of the pending charges. Said she can't afford her prescriptions. Said I'm killing her. I saved the voicemail and forwarded it to my lawyer. He said it might be useful if she tries to claim hardship at sentencing. 3 weeks until court. My daughter asked if she has to be there. I said no. The prosecutor said her presence isn't required since she's a minor and I'm the listed victim as the financial guardian. She looked relieved. I keep thinking about my mom's text. That I've become cruel. Maybe I have. But my daughter worked 40 hours on her STEM scholarship application. She stayed up until 2 in the morning perfecting her project proposal. She earned that money and someone who claimed to love her stole it for spa days and margaritas. So yeah, I'm pressing charges. I'm putting a woman who stole from a child in front of a judge. And I'm not sorry. My aunt took a plea deal 4 days before the hearing and I found out from Facebook. My cousin posted a long status about how our family should be ashamed for abandoning someone in their darkest hour. How my aunt accepted a plea bargain because she couldn't afford to fight the charges. How she's now a convicted felon because I refused to show mercy. The post had 47 comments, most of them from extended family I barely know, all saying I went too far. I called the prosecutor immediately. He confirmed it. My aunt pleaded guilty to felony theft, got 3 years probation, 200 hours community service, and a permanent criminal record. No jail time. She has to pay an additional $2,000 in court fees on top of the restitution she already gave me. She could have gotten worse, he said. Judge agreed to probation because she paid you back and has no prior record. But she's a felon now. That doesn't go away. My daughter was in the kitchen when I got off the phone. She didn't say anything, just nodded. Later that night she asked me if it was really over and I said yes. It wasn't over. 2 days after the plea, my aunt's best friend showed up at my daughter's school. Just walked into the main office during lunch and asked to speak with her. The secretary, thank God, has protocols for this. She asked how the woman knew my daughter, and when she said I'm a family friend, the secretary told her to leave. The woman started crying, saying she just wanted to deliver a letter, that my aunt wasn't allowed to contact us directly because of the criminal case. The school called me. I was there in 15 minutes. The principal had the letter in a sealed envelope on her desk. She asked if I wanted to file a police report for harassment. I said yes. The letter was 6 pages, handwritten. I read it in my car with the principal waiting outside in case I needed anything. It was my aunt's full confession, explanation, apology, whatever you want to call it. She wrote about how she'd been depressed, how her marriage was falling apart before she stole the money, how she thought the trip to Cancun would fix things with her book club friends who were drifting away. She said seeing those scholarship checks in our mailbox felt like a sign, like the universe was giving her a chance to feel happy again. The last page killed me. She wrote that my daughter has so much ahead of her, so many opportunities, and that she thought taking the money wouldn't matter because smart kids always land on their feet. She said she knew it was wrong, but she'd convinced herself it was borrowing, that she'd pay it back after her next paycheck. She never mentioned that her next paycheck was $1,800 biweekly and she stole almost $10,000. The letter ended with, I know you'll never forgive me, but please don't let her hate me forever. Tell her I'm sorry. I gave the letter to the police. They added it to the harassment report. My aunt's probation officer called me the next day and said any further contact, direct or indirect, would violate her probation terms. I said good. My daughter asked to read the letter. I said no. She's 16, she doesn't need to see her aunt's justification for stealing her future. She pushed back, said she deserved to know what was in it. We fought about it for an hour before I finally told her the basics. That her aunt was depressed and desperate and convinced herself it didn't matter. So she stole from me because she was sad? My daughter said. That's the reason? There is no good reason. She went quiet for a long time. Then she said, I'm sad too. I was sad when I found out what she did. I didn't steal anything. That was 5 days ago. My daughter hasn't mentioned it since, but she's different now. Quieter. She asked me to change the locks even though my aunt already returned her key. She doesn't want to walk past her house anymore, so we take the long way to the bus stop. Mike stopped by yesterday. The divorce is final. He signed the papers last week, and his ex-wife, he doesn't call her by name anymore, kept the house, but he took everything else. He's moving 2 hours north for a job transfer, getting away from the whole situation. I'm sorry she went after your kid, he said. I told her probation officer about the letter. That's a violation. She might get supervised probation now instead of self-report. Good. My lawyer says if she violates again she could do jail time. Just so you know. I thanked him. He hugged my daughter and told her she's the strongest kid he knows. After he left she cried for 20 minutes. Not because she's sad, but because she's exhausted. She said I just want this to be over, and I didn't know what to tell her because it won't ever really be over. My mom called from my sister's phone because I blocked her number. I answered thinking it was my sister and got an earful about how I've torn the family apart. How my aunt is on antidepressants now and barely leaves the house. How she lost her job at the dental office because they can't employ convicted felons in medical settings. She can't find work, my mom said. No one will hire her. She's going to lose the house. She should have thought about that before she stole from a child. Your daughter is fine. She got the money back. She got the money back because I called the police and pressed charges. If I hadn't, you think my aunt would have just decided to pay her back one day? My mom hung up on me. I blocked my sister's number too. The family group chat, the one with my aunts and uncles and cousins, has been silent since the plea deal. No one's posting about birthdays or holidays or weekend plans. Just dead air. My cousin sent me a private message yesterday saying I should leave the chat out of respect. I left. Then I blocked all of them. My daughter got an email 2 days ago from the state university. She's a finalist for their full-ride engineering scholarship. Interview is next month. She printed the email and put it on the refrigerator. Under it she wrote, I earned this. The harassment report is still open. My aunt's friend tried to contact me on Instagram to explain that she was just trying to help and didn't understand she was breaking the law. I screenshotted it and sent it to the probation officer. He said he'd handle it. I keep thinking about what my mom said. That my daughter is fine, that she got the money back, that I should have let it go. But my daughter isn't fine. She flinches when someone knocks on the door. She checks our mailbox herself now because she doesn't trust anyone else to do it. She asked me last week if colleges do background checks on family members, and when I said no, she looked relieved. My aunt destroyed more than just trust. She taught my daughter that people who love you can look you in the eye and justify hurting you if they need something badly enough. So no, I don't regret the felony charge. I don't regret the probation or the community service or the fact that she can't find work. She made a choice, and choices have consequences. 3 years of probation. 200 hours of community service. A permanent record. And my daughter, who worked herself to exhaustion for those scholarships, gets to know that someone faced real consequences for hurting her. I'm not sorry. My aunt violated probation 6 weeks after the plea deal, and now there's a warrant out for her arrest. The probation officer called me last Tuesday. Said my aunt missed 2 mandatory check-ins and hasn't completed any of her required community service hours. She was supposed to start in January, report every week, and log her hours with approved organizations. She did none of it. We sent 3 notices to her address, he said. All returned undeliverable. Do you know where she is? I didn't. I told him I'd blocked most of my family and had no contact with her since the criminal case ended. He thanked me and said a bench warrant was being issued. If she's picked up, she'll face a probation violation hearing and possible jail time. I thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't. My daughter came home from school yesterday shaking. I was in the kitchen and she walked in, dropped her backpack, and said she was there. My aunt had been waiting outside the school. Not on campus, the resource officer would have removed her, but across the street at the coffee shop with a clear view of the main entrance. She didn't approach my daughter. Just sat there in the window booth watching students leave for 2 hours until my daughter spotted her. My daughter called me from inside the building. I told her to stay with the front office staff and I'd be there in 10 minutes. When I arrived, the principal was already on the phone with police. My aunt was gone by then, but the coffee shop's manager confirmed a woman matching her description had been there all afternoon, ordered 1 coffee, and kept staring out the window toward the school. The officer who responded said it's not technically illegal to sit in a coffee shop, but given the probation terms and previous harassment report, it's worth documenting. He filed an incident report and said if she shows up again to call immediately. My daughter didn't sleep that night. I heard her moving around her room until 3 in the morning. When I checked on her, she was sitting at her desk with all the lights on, staring at her laptop. She'd been looking up probation violation penalties, what happens when someone skips check-ins, how long it takes to process a warrant. What if she blames me? She said. What if that's why she was at my school? She blames herself. That's why she's hiding. She wasn't hiding. She wanted me to see her. I didn't have an answer for that. My daughter is right. My aunt could have watched from her car or somewhere less visible. She chose the coffee shop window, chose a spot where she'd be seen. I called my sister the next morning, the one number I hadn't blocked yet. Asked if she knew where my aunt was staying. She got defensive immediately, said I had no right to ask, that I'd done enough damage. I told her about the school incident and the probation violation. She went quiet. She's not doing well, my sister finally said. I can't tell you where she is, but she's not in a good place mentally. She sat outside my daughter's school for 2 hours. She probably just wanted to see her. To know she's okay. That's not her right anymore. My sister hung up. I called the probation officer and told him about the conversation. He said family refusing to cooperate is common in these situations and there's not much he can do unless my aunt surfaces on her own or gets picked up during a traffic stop. The school sent an email to all staff yesterday with my aunt's photo and instructions to call police if she's spotted on or near campus. The principal offered to let my daughter leave through the back entrance by the gymnasium and I could pick her up there instead of the main circle. My daughter said no. She doesn't want to hide. But she's different now. She checks over her shoulder when we're walking. She won't go anywhere alone. Yesterday she asked if we could move and when I said no, we can't afford that, she just nodded and went to her room. I got a Facebook message last night from someone I don't know. The profile picture was a sunset, no personal information visible. The message said your aunt is staying at the extended stay motel on Route 9 room 127. She hasn't left in days. Someone should check on her. I screenshotted it and sent it to the probation officer. He said he'd pass it to the police but couldn't confirm if they'd do a welfare check or try to execute the warrant. I asked what I'm supposed to do with this information and he said nothing, that it's not my responsibility. My daughter saw the message before I could delete it. She read it over my shoulder while I was texting the probation officer and asked if I was going to go there. Absolutely not. What if something happened to her? Then the police will handle it. She looked at me for a long time. Do you think she'll hurt herself? I don't know. I told my daughter I don't know and that it's not our job to save someone who won't save themselves. She went quiet after that, stayed in her room for the rest of the night. I keep thinking about that coffee shop. About my aunt sitting there watching the school, watching my daughter leave. What was she thinking? That seeing her would fix something? That my daughter would run across the street and forgive her? The university scholarship interview is in 2 weeks. My daughter has been preparing for months, practicing her answers, working on her project presentation. Yesterday she asked if we could postpone it and I said no. I told her she's earned this, that she can't let someone else's choices derail her future. She nodded, but I could tell she wasn't convinced. The probation officer called again this morning. Said the police went to the motel on Route 9. Room 127 was checked out 3 days ago. My aunt's gone again. He asked if she tried to contact me or my daughter. I said no, but I'd let him know if anything changed. I'm waiting for the next incident. The next coffee shop sighting or mystery message or family member calling to tell me my aunt is falling apart and it's my fault. My daughter is waiting too. I can see it in the way she tenses up every time her phone buzzes, every time there's a knock at the door. The warrant is still active. My aunt is still missing. And my daughter, who should be focused on her scholarship interview and college applications and her future, is checking the locks on our doors every night before bed. I don't know what happens next. I just know it's not over. My aunt was arrested at my daughter's scholarship interview. We were in the university administration building, 3rd floor conference room, and my daughter was halfway through her presentation when campus security walked in with 2 police officers. They didn't interrupt, just stood by the door scanning the hallway through the window. My daughter saw them first and her voice faltered mid-sentence. The interview panel noticed and one of them asked if she needed a moment. She said no and finished her presentation. Nailed it, actually. Talked about her robotics project and her plans for studying mechanical engineering without missing a beat, even though I could see her hands shaking. The officers were waiting when we walked out. One of them recognized me from the previous reports and said, "Your aunt is in the lobby. She's being detained, but we wanted to let you know before you came downstairs." My daughter grabbed my arm. "Is she here for me?" "We don't know yet. She hasn't said much. Just that she needed to talk to you." We took the back stairwell to avoid the lobby. Campus security escorted us to my car and followed us off campus to make sure my aunt didn't try to follow. I watched my daughter the whole drive home. She stared out the window and didn't say a word. The probation officer called an hour later. My aunt had been picked up on the warrant and was being held pending a probation violation hearing. She'd apparently been living in her car for 3 weeks, parked in different locations every few days. Someone reported a woman sleeping in a sedan behind the university student center, and when campus police ran the plates it came back to her. "She asked about your daughter," he said. "Wanted to know if she was okay, if she got into college." We didn't answer. The violation hearing was set for 2 weeks out. I didn't plan to attend, but the prosecutor called and asked if I'd be willing to testify about the school incident and the harassment. I said yes. My daughter's scholarship results came back 5 days later. Full ride. 4 years, tuition and fees and room and board covered. The letter came with a congratulations packet and a handwritten note from the Dean of Engineering saying her presentation was one of the strongest they'd seen in years. She cried when she read it. Happy crying, relieved crying, every kind of crying. Then she asked if I thought her aunt knew yet, and I said probably not. The violation hearing happened on a Thursday morning. I took the day off work and my daughter asked to come with me. I said no initially, but she insisted. Said she wanted to see it end. The courtroom was small, just the judge, the prosecutor, a public defender, my aunt, the probation officer, and us. My aunt looked terrible. Thin, unwashed hair, wearing the same clothes she'd had on in the coffee shop security footage from weeks ago. She didn't look at us when we walked in. The prosecutor laid it out. Missed check-ins, no community service hours logged, skipped drug testing, multiple incidents of attempting contact with the victim's family. The probation officer testified about the motel, the school incident, the warrant. I testified about the letter, the coffee shop, the message about Route 9. My aunt's lawyer tried to argue mental health crisis, depression, inability to cope. The judge asked my aunt directly if she'd sought treatment or asked her probation officer for help. She said no. You had resources available, the judge said. Your probation terms included mental health services if you needed them. You chose not to use them. You chose to violate the conditions of your probation instead. My aunt finally looked at us then. At my daughter specifically. She started crying and said I just wanted to tell her I'm sorry. I just wanted her to know. My daughter stood up. I tried to stop her, but she pulled away and walked right up to the defendant's table. The bailiff moved forward, but the judge held up a hand. You were at my scholarship interview, my daughter said. The biggest day of my life, and you were there. Not to support me. To make it about you. I wanted to see you succeed. You stole my success. I earned those scholarships and you took them. And now you're here acting like you deserve my forgiveness because you feel bad. My aunt reached for her, but my daughter stepped back. I got a full ride to college, my daughter said. 4 years. I did that. Not you. And you'll never be part of it. She walked back to me and sat down. The judge waited a moment, then issued the ruling. Probation revoked. 90 days in county jail, credit for time served since the arrest. After release, she'd be on supervised probation for the remaining 2.5 years with mandatory mental health treatment and strict no-contact orders. My aunt was let out by the bailiff. She looked back once, but my daughter was staring straight ahead. We stopped for breakfast on the way home. My daughter ordered pancakes and ate every bite. Afterward, she asked if we could drive past the university campus, and we did. She looked at the buildings and the students walking between classes and said, "That's mine now." Mike called that night to congratulate her on the scholarship. He'd heard through someone, didn't say who. He told her he was proud of her and that she deserved every bit of it. She thanked him, and after she hung up, she said he was the only good thing that came from any of this. My mom sent flowers the next day with a card that said congratulations. No apology, no acknowledgement of anything that happened. Just congratulations. I threw the flowers away before my daughter saw them. The extended family is still silent. No one reached out about the jail sentence or the scholarship. Fine by me. My daughter starts college in the fall. She's already planning her class schedule and talking about joining the robotics club. Yesterday she took down the printed email from the refrigerator, the one that said "I earned this," and put up the acceptance letter instead. Sometimes she still checks the locks before bed. Sometimes she looks over her shoulder when we're out. But she's sleeping through the night now, and she laughs again, and last week she told me she's thinking about changing her major to aerospace engineering because she wants to build satellites. My aunt will be out of jail in 3 months. She'll have supervised probation and court-ordered therapy and a felony record that will follow her forever. She'll never work in healthcare again. She'll never be welcome in my home. And my daughter will be halfway through her first semester of college, building her future with money she earned herself. I don't feel vindicated. I just feel tired. But when I look at my daughter, when I see her planning and dreaming and believing in herself again, I know I made the right choice. She earned those scholarships. She earned her future. And no one will ever take that from her again.